Welcome to Strong and Steady, where we talk about building strength, supporting your health, and choosing sustainable wellness for women in every season of life.
And I'm Brittany. I'm here with my co-host, Jessica. She's a mom of 4 littles with such a grounded, realistic approach to balance for low-tox living. She helps busy moms build healthy habits that actually work in real life without perfection or overwhelm.
And I'm Jessica, here with Brittany, a woman's health and fitness coach who specializes in elite aging. She helps women build strong bones and muscles so they can live their whole lives to the fullest with confidence, strength, and independence.
And together, we have over 2 decades specializing in the health and fitness industry. So whether you're in the thick of young motherhood
or focused on staying strong for the long run,
we are so glad you're here.
Welcome back. We are so excited. Today, we are going to be talking about supplements you actually need for bone health. And so Brittany's got lots of great information on this. So I'm going to be going through kind of a couple questions that I know lots of us women have, and she's just going to kind of help answer them for us and just give us a little insight into what's actually going on with our bodies and how we can actually help support our bones. So Brittany, why are so many women who are faithfully taking calcium still being told that their bone density is dropping?
Yeah, so the thing with calcium is that you look at the bones, and so your bones are actually made up of 12 different minerals, and calcium is literally just like one of them. And the problem with calcium is that if you are not taking it with magnesium, vitamin K2, even collagen, some other supplements, then what the calcium does is that it has nothing signaling it to go to your bones. And so you can be taking a high quality calcium, but if you are not looking at the whole picture, then it's just, I don't want to say floating around, but what they have seen is that when you take calcium just by itself, that it actually, instead of going to your bones, it can actually calcify like your organs, and which is very, very dangerous. We want them fluid and malleable like they were made to be. You do, yeah, you definitely do not want them to be calcified. Yeah, so you have to look at it at a big picture thing. So it's not just calcium, but you have to have magnesium. And there's some roles that all of these minerals have, because if you look at your bones, they are made up again of 12 different minerals. So like you have calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, sodium, potassium, zinc, copper, manganese, iron, boron, silicon, sorry, not silicone, that's bad. No, silicon, and then trace fluoride. And so these are what your bones are made up of, not just calcium.
Yeah, I know we heard, like growing up, at least I heard a lot too, like drink your milk. It's got calcium, it's good for your bones, but like not really stopping to think that no, our bones is more than just calcium. And so it's so important to be well rounded with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and even, sorry, real quickly, but like even with the what is found, like the calcium that's found in the milk, it's actually added. Like they literally add synthetic calcium into the milk. And so then they're like, "Oh, hey, have your milk so you can have strong bones." But the problem is that it's synthetic, not naturally found in there. You're going to find calcium from like more plants. So plants, and then even having a lot of protein is really going to help with your bone density.
Yeah. So as we're getting into like our 30s and 40s, as women, what are we missing about bones that change how we should be eating and supplementing?
Yeah, so it's again, it's not just about, hey, let me just take certain supplements. But what you are eating, like we have been, and I actually talked about this with a client the other day, is that I asked her, I was like, hey, so why are you vegetarian? And she was like, well, in the diet culture that I was raised in the 80s, was like, oh, fat makes you fat. So don't eat, like don't eat beef, don't eat this. You need the chicken breast, not the chicken thighs. And you need this and this and this, and not have all this fatty food. And the problem is though, is that that makes us undereat protein. And your bones are literally like 30 to 40% protein and collagen. And so we're finally, I feel like this is a trend, but it's finally breaking ground that we have needed from that whole 80s mindset transition, is that we have to have protein. So when you are under eating protein, you are actually like not helping your bones. Your bones cannot, it cannot live on bread alone, and it cannot live on just vegetables. As much like vegetables are essential. Do not skip out on your vegetables. Do not go keto. Do not go
Darn.
carnivore. Darn it. But they're very super important for the zinc, for all of those key minerals, but you have to have enough protein. So when I say that you have to have enough protein, I am saying you need at least about 100 grams of protein a day. And so that's at the bare minimum. But what you really want is 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight. We won't go into the postpartum aspect of like you need 1.7 grams of protein per ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is 120 pounds, then you need 120 grams of protein a day. And that's not just for muscle, but that is literally for your bone health also.
Yeah, and we couple episodes ago we took kind of a deep dive into protein as well. And so we'll link that in the show notes too if you're wanting to learn more. Brittany took one of our episodes to kind of dive into it and just share more about protein and protein for women. Um so you talked about it a little bit, but why is bone health more complex than one pill from a drugstore?
Right. So kind of like what we had said is that it's like there's key minerals. And like Barbara O'Neill, and again, I'm not a doctor, but I do trust Barbara O'Neill's I trust her teachings and everything. But you think about doctors, how they're like, oh, you just have to take calcium. Like anytime that you're older or anything like that, they're like, oh, just take a calcium pill. Your bones will be, you have to take it religiously. But because they are different minerals, Barbara O'Neill specifically says do Celtic sea salt or Baja salt, because those have all of your trace minerals, all 12 trace minerals. And so then it helps your body absorb the water. It also helps, and you think about this also, is that you want your bones to be a little bit more like fluid. Like I know that sounds weird, like we think like strong bones. But if you fall and if you're not absorbing your water or the collagen or anything like that, then it's brittle. And so when you fall, it's going to crack and it's going to shatter. And but if you are actually absorbing your water, eating the protein, then it's having collagen, it's making it a little bit more flexible. Like you think of like a hardy plank, how which I don't know if this is going to relate to y'all, but y'all see hardy plank, how it's very strong, but it kind of like gives a little bit. And so you could like bounce on it and it's going to be fine. But if you bounce on like an old piece of wood that has not been taken care of, it's weathered and everything, you bounce on it, it's going to split in half. Oh, well, that's the same thing like with your bones. Um, and so yeah, so that's why it's very important. But then also the supplements that you actually need for bone density is you need your vitamin K2, you need your magnesium. So your magnesium is literally required for calcium absorption. It also supports nervous system and your sleep. Like I love magnesium. We joke all the time in our company is like, oh, you got a problem? Take magnesium. You have headaches? Take magnesium. You have restless leg syndrome? Take magnesium. And and even like depression and anxiety, that can be a magnesium deficiency. And literally, most women are deficient in magnesium. And then also, you have to have vitamin D. So that vitamin D actually helps you absorb calcium from the gut. And so, deficiency is honestly extremely common. Like, I live down south and I am outside as much as possible, but The problem is though, is that if my gut is not in line, then I'm not and my minerals are all out of whack, then I'm not going to be able to absorb that vitamin D. And so that's where a good supplement, high quality vitamin D supplement is extremely important. And then also vitamin K2. So what vitamin K2 does is that it directs calcium into the bones and away from the arteries. Just like we had said, do not take calcium alone. And so you have to take that vitamin K2 if you are wanting to do that. And then also protein, like we had just talked about, is that you want at least 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight a day. And because your bones are literally 30 to 40% protein, and so it's essential for that bone matrix. Like we call it a matrix because it's not just one little 2D or whatever you want to call it, but it's just this conglomeration of amazing minerals. And then also, you need your trace minerals. So zinc, boron, silica, and manganese. And so these actually support bone remodeling and strength. Another one that I would say is collagen. Collagen is very important because your bones, along with that protein, it's about 30 to 40%. And you can find a lot of your collagen in meat. Bone broth, collagen is found in bone broth, so it's great for your skin. I personally drink bone broth every single day, every single morning for my bone health, for my gut health, everything.
Yeah, as you're talking, like I'm thinking back to college before I knew anything about gut health. I'm like, oh, like gut health would have helped that. Gut health would have helped this. Like my vitamin D was so low, like literally off the chart low in college. My roommate was like, yeah, there was one afternoon you fell asleep mid sentence. I was like, are you kidding? Like, and so just thinking back, like even in college, my menstrual cramps, they were awful, like throwing up, could not move.
Oh,
And like looking back, I'm like, oh, gut health would have helped this. Gut health would have helped like my vitamin D absorption and magnesium. Like that helped the cramps. And like you were saying, I was thinking of like our graphic goes around. It's like I got 99 problems, but magnesium took care of 98 of them. And like it's
yeah.
so true though, like how much of what we have going on is relate back to magnesium, gut health, just all of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Um, and you talked about it a little bit, but why are women struggling with sleep, stress, and bone loss at the same time?
Oh, the lovely hormones. Like, so, I don't know if I should say this on here, but I was texting a client and I was doing voice to text. And voice to text is like horrible. But it explains hormones and it literally like spelt it out like whore and then moans. And she was like, "What did you just say?" And I was like, hormones. I'm sorry, it's hormones, not the other one. But I will say sometimes you're like, you, and then it's the bad word that comes out after. But the reason why women deal more with bone density loss or like that depletion of bone health is our hormones. And then also though is that we actually start with less bone density than men do. Like as you can tell, like men are just stockier. They are made to build and to carry. And, that's just the way that God made them. And we are a little bit smaller and I don't want to say daintier, but, that's just the way that God created us to bear kids and to carry things and, to be the more nurturer. And but the reason that I guess you could say lose bone density more so is that as we get older, then we are not having as much estrogen. And estrogen is actually kind of like that protective hormone for your bones specifically. So if you are going through perimenopause, even menopause and postmenopausal, like you'll see that your bone density has dramatically dropped. And then also, like, it actually starts more in your 30s and 40s than it does in just waking up and when you're 70 and be like, oh, I have osteoporosis. No, it literally starts in your 30s and 40s because of your hormones. And so that's why hormone regulation is very important. But having a diet that helps support your hormones. And again, we have been in this diet culture of like, oh, I need to shrink myself. I need to eat less. I don't need to be this powerful human being that God created me to be. And I've seen like the skinny is coming back where it's like skin and bones. Well, no, no, honey, it's not coming back. Like we're not allowing that. It can be there for Hollywood if they want to do that, but for the rest of us in the world, us normal people, then no, we're not shrinking. And so that's why it's very important to balance out your gut, to balance, because when you balance out your gut, it balances out your hormones. When you balance out your hormones, then you are helping with your bone density, with your brain function. And this is not just about, oh, hey, I don't want to be, I don't want to fall and break a bone, but this is literally like, this is important for your brain health, for your hormone health, for being that like, how do I put, I talk about this all the time, but being that person who God created you to be, and I've been reading in Genesis and Exodus and how they lived like 120, 130 years. Like that's technically how we're supposed to be. And grant, I don't care about living that long. I don't care about living to 100. I'm like, dear Lord, the sooner you can take me home, the better. But, because I know heaven is going to be so much better than it is here, but it's that quality of life. That is what is so important, is that we want to take care of our bodies for that quality. We do not want to age frail. We do not want to age small and shrink and sag. No, we want to build our bodies, to build that bone density, build that muscle mass. And basically like shrinking and sagging does not have to be your story. It can be completely opposite if you are very intentional about how you work out, how you eat, and how you move, and even having a purpose in life.
Yeah, I think back to you said it one time, but you're like when you get older, you want to be able to get on and off the toilet by yourself. Like
Yeah.
what we do now is going to affect if we can do that. But even like in the here and now, like we want to be able to get down on the floor and play with our kids. We want to be able to run around with them, lift them up. My 6-year-old still sometimes is like, "Will you hold me?" I'm like, "You're heavy," but just having the strength to be able to do that, like, is so
Yeah.
important. Um, so we had talked about, like, the importance of taking calcium, and not taking it by itself, but what can happen if we take too much calcium without the right support?
Yeah, so kind of like what we've talked before is that if you take too much calcium without like the K2, without the magnesium, then it can actually calcify your organs. And there is actually, and I'm not saying that calcium, as a disclaimer, I'm not saying that calcium can cause an autoimmune disease.
Mhm.
But what I have personally seen, in clients of mine and even in my family is that they have taken all this calcium and the doctors are like, oh, you need to take more calcium. Like your bones are brittle, take more calcium. But then it can in turn, like if you are already having this cluster of things going on with your gut health and all that, and then you're taking all this calcium, then and then if you have an autoimmune disease, then those can actually like literally it's like there's a fight going on inside of your body. And there's an autoimmune disease called Sjogren's disease, and it's literally that your organs are calcifying. And it's your body, it's that those cells are attacking your body. It's that autoimmune. And the calcium is actually contributing to that even in the bad way. And so you have to, if you are taking calcium, you have to take it with a high quality magnesium, with a high quality vitamin K2. You cannot, like, you would be doing better not taking calcium and none of those than you would taking calcium just by itself, to be honest.
Wow. So as we're talking about supplements, why are some women who are taking like all the supplements or even just some of them basically just peeing them out?
Yeah. So that Dr. Josh Axe, he says it all the time is that you're not what you eat, but you are what you absorb. And that comes down to your gut health. So if you are having some sort of dysbiosis, if you are having inflammation in your gut, then you're literally not, you're just you're literally peeing expensive water. And I know like you can be taking the most high quality supplement, but if your gut health is off, if you are having too much bad bacteria, if you have too much candida, um too much yeast overgrowth, And then you're also having leaky gut syndrome. Like if you look up leaky gut and you're like, oh, I have those symptoms, then and then that is one of the reasons why you wouldn't be absorbing. Gut health is a very key component in your overall health, but also in your gut health, especially when you want to absorb those nutrients, those expensive supplements that you're taking. Gut health is like, if you fix your gut health, then everything else is going to help fall into place.
Yeah, I know. I was so shocked, like, when I started learning about gut health, just how many things were related back to it. And, like, as my gut was healing, and it wasn't a fast process, which I didn't expect it to be. I mean, it didn't take a week to get, leaky and
Yeah.
unbalanced, wasn't going to be healed. Um, but just seeing the little changes over time, like mood, energy, and just all this stuff, it blew my mind. So last question for you. If you're in your 30s and you want strong bones at 65, what would you start doing this week?
So the one of the biggest things that I would say start doing is one, again, work on your gut health. We have a questionnaire that we'll put in the show notes that if you have questions about gut health, we have been in this industry together for over 2 decades. And so we have had a lot of knowledge on how to heal your gut health. And I personally, this is also from personal experience about healing my gut. With so many different things with food that I eat specifically every day, with supplements that I take every day. One is definitely like start working on your gut health. Look up things, have bone broth. Bone broth is one of the best ways to help heal your gut and build your bone density and help with your skin because it's high in collagen. Everybody needs collagen. And then also start doing weights. Start lifting weights about 2 to 4 times a week. So if you have never done exercise before, then I would say lift weights about 2 times a week. And we will be posting some workouts that you can do, but very simple, like not even just squats, but like a sit to stand. Put a chair behind your butt, sit down to it, and then stand up without using your arms. And do that 10 times and then rest. Do that another 10 times and rest. Those are so important. Just because, like Jessica said, is that what we are doing now is that it's helping us do what we want to do later. And for me, I don't know about y'all, but I want to be able to get off the toilet without assistance when I'm 70. Like that's just, I'm sorry, but that's just what we're going to do. That is that is all my goal. But then also, like, doing push-ups against a wall, those are great. Those are certain movements that you can do. Doing weight bearing exercises, a weighted vest. So, you don't have to do a weighted vest, but that is another good way to start adding weight bearing exercises. And even a few things, I guess you could say, for equipment that you could do. So let's say that if you're older and you don't want to be jumping and doing the high intensity and everything. Then a rebounder is really good. Those little trampolines, you can get some with the handles. Those are very good on your joints to help build that bone density without putting all that pressure. And then a weighted vest is a great alternative also. So go for a walk and do a weighted vest. And then also eating like high protein. Again, you want to eat about 1 gram of protein per ideal body weight, and your bones are made up of protein. And as much as the lies and the myths that we have been told that fat makes you fat, well, you need fat, good healthy fat for your brain. Nobody wants to be a little vegetable. And then also, like, you have to have protein because protein is essential for your bones and for your brain. And then if you listen to our myth busting one, is that eat your protein first. So eat your protein and then have your vegetables and your carbs. That is really, really going to help with that absorption.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of that. I know I definitely got some takeaways from it, and so I hope everyone else listening was able to take something away too. Um, but yeah, lots of good information. So thank you so much for sharing.
We want to leave you with one last thought from 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. Thanks so much for hanging out with us today. If this episode resonated with you, we'd love for you to come hang out with us over on Instagram. You can find us at The Strong and Steady. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and share this episode with a friend. We'll see you next time on Strong and Steady.